Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Part Out Loud. I'm Nuvyn.
And I'm Alex.
And today I'm delighted to have Saifa Koonar, President and CEO of the Alberta Children's Hospital Foundation, here with us today, and also this year's recipient of the Social Enterprise Award at the Calgary Influential Women in Business Awards. So welcome, Saifa.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So delighted to spend some time with you, learn a little more about your career journey, some defining moments, and just have a discussion. So I do want to kick things off around those defining moments that have really helped kind of shape and make your career, your role as a leader, your contributions to society. When you look back at those defining moments, what are you most proud of?
You know, I have a 30-year history with the Alberta Children's Hospital Foundation. And when I think back to the very beginning, for me, I think one of the most defining, but also most proudest moment for me was when we built the Alberta Children's Hospital. And I was fairly new to the foundation, actually. I'd started as a junior fundraiser, and I was seconded to actually work on the campaign. And I have to tell you, it was such an incredible learning opportunity. You would know this. You're learning from the best in the community, all these leaders that are so passionate about child health or making a difference. And they took me under their wing, and I learned how to fundraise. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to go out and ask for money. And it was one of the most incredible experiences, not only because I learned more about the craft of being a fundraiser, but what it meant and what could be achieved when we all came together for a common purpose, and that was the building of the hospital. So I would say that was one of the most exciting times of my career, certainly early on. I'd also say one of the most defining moments for me was when I actually decided that I would take on the role of CEO. And it was one that actually wasn't actually sure I could do it. And to be very honest, I had sort of said no twice before. And I'd just come back from mat leave, actually, and I was asked to take on this opportunity. And it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of, just conviction that I could do this. I'd always seen myself as someone that was a kind of a 2IC. Never saw myself kind of front and center representing an organization. And that was very defining for me, that I felt that, you know what, I can do this. And people believed in me, perhaps more than I believed in myself. And here I am 18 years later in this role, and then 30 years actually at the Alberta Children's Hospital Foundation.
That's interesting, like your hesitation around moving forward in that CEO role. And we've interviewed a number of people, and that is a common theme, that whether it's self-doubt, or are you harder on yourself, or do you not see in yourself what others saw in you?
You know, I think it was all of that. And I just didn't think that I had what it took. And so, yeah, for sure, there was a bit of that self-doubt. And maybe if I was honest with myself, and I can say this now looking back, maybe I wouldn't have admitted it then, but I can now, because I'm at a stage in my life where I'm just so proud of the journey that I've been on and everything that I've learned along the way. But, perhaps the reason I declined it the first couple of times was because of that self-doubt. I didn't think I was ready. I didn't think I could do it. And then when I decided to do it, honestly, it was the people around me who said, Saifa, you need to take the plunge. You need to do this. And you will, at least if it didn't work out, you could say you tried. And that was the best advice I could have been given. Anyway, it did work out.
Right.
It worked out a lot longer than I thought. But I do think that's what maybe perhaps many women sort of kind of grapple with. But I'm so glad I've come out the other end and did what my heart and perhaps what others told me to do.
And you said that in the first part of your time with ACHF, someone took you under their wing, or maybe multiple people took you under their wing. And then in that transition to CEO, you're probably the person with the wing, right? So how has that mentorship and sponsorship played into your life and how you have either made decisions or ended up in the position you're at?
You know, that's such an excellent point. I think because I was afforded such grace and such support, it actually has shaped me to be the person to offer it to others, kind of pay it forward and support those that are growing in their careers, or even personally. And so even in the organization that I'm in, you look at our executive team, we're all women, first of all, which I'm super proud of, but most of them have all grown within the organization. And that was something really important to me. And sometimes we brought in external people, of course, but what was really remarkable is we were able to, the same folks were still with us, and we were able to promote them from within. And they are now leading this organization in a way that I could, I'm just so proud of. And I'm just glad that I was able to be a bit of a catalyst for that. And honestly, it's because this was afforded to me. And it's incumbent upon all of us, I think, certainly as women, to be able to help support others.
Yeah. When you think about your broader community impact, because, you have been an outstanding leader and CEO of the Children's Hospital Foundation, but you're also involved in so many other aspects of community life and vibrancy. Can you walk us through some of those experiences?
Yeah, I'm pretty active in my faith community. I belong to the Somali Muslim community, and for us, service is just part of our ethos. And so since I was really young, I've always been serving and serving in sort of leadership roles, but also, I guess, as a bit of a mentor too to the younger members of our community and the youth and the women that are coming through, and making sure that they all have the opportunity to grow and learn and shine. And so my community involvement is pretty vast. I know it's a faith community, but it's important to me because if I was to take a few steps back, when we came to Canada in the early 70s, for many Somalis, we came really with nothing. And coming to Canada was our opportunity to give back and to make something, honestly, of ourselves. And so being part of the Canadian fabric through our faith community is just a part of who I am. So involved in everything from youth development, education development, external relations, sustainability. I've been able to do it all within the faith community for sure. And then broadly, I'm a mom who has, 2 kids that are very active in the community. And so whether it's in sports or dance, I feel like that's my other community, and I get to be a really active part of that as well.
So you wear so many different hats, and you've juggled it. As I take a deep breath, I'm like, every time I'm like, so many hats. We wear so many hats, and trying to just kind of make sure you're not dropping any balls. Like, what has been hard and challenging? Like, was there a point in your life where you just either had to recalibrate and say, something is out of balance here? Because being a CEO, a mom, active in your faith community, active in the broader community, these are all very large roles in and of themselves.
Yeah. I do my best. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. And yeah, I have struggled along the way, no question. But I've also come to realize I have to give myself some grace. I give others grace. It's sort of harder to do it for yourself. But I've also realized that you're never really balanced. Like, you can't say you have to have balance in your life. I don't know if I believe in that. I just believe that you will always have multiple priorities. We just need to learn to manage that and prioritize, and recognize that some things might take greater time and effort at some point in your life, and then will sort of calm down later. And then, so things will ebb and flow. And I've just learned to be more, patient with myself with these sort of ebbs and flows in life, and accept that I'm just doing my best.
Right.
And my best is good.
Yeah. I'm curious what kind of career planner you are. Did you always foresee yourself to be in the CEO position? Did you plan your next steps, or did you kind of just follow opportunities? How do you make your decisions?
I am not a planner that way. So having said that, so in university, I thought I would be a health administrator. That's kind of how it all started. So I went to business school, thought I would, get my business degree, and then eventually I would do some sort of master's in health admin. That's kind of what I was thinking. Landed by accident in philanthropy, actually at the Foothills Hospital Foundation, just trying to get some experience again in a hospital. Never thought I'd be a fundraiser or end up in philanthropy. So in my mind, I guess to your point, yeah, maybe a bit of a planner that I thought, oh, I want to be a healthcare administrator. But you know what? I just fell in love with the sector, and I realized that philanthropy has this beautiful ability, and Nuvyn, you know this, to catalyze, to create change, to create impact. And what I learned about myself is that I didn't have aspirations to be a CEO or an executive. I just realized about myself was that I want to be part of creating change. I want to be part of creating impact, small or big, but that's what drove me. And so every role that I had at the foundation, I just gave it my all. But not with an eye of growing in the organization, but with the eye of creating impact. So I had multiple roles in that organization before I became CEO. Like I said, I started as a junior fundraiser. I was doing special events and building a corporate giving program and helping with the campaign. And then I just did a whole bunch of different roles, but I just did my best at these roles. And then I feel like that's what really prepares you then for those next opportunities. Not that you're chasing them, but that your own experience and hard work, I think, often speaks for itself. And yeah, and here I am.
Yeah. And you raise an interesting point about philanthropy, and those of us who have been in that industry for so long, and it is such a special moment when you can help to guide and navigate someone's desire to have an impact in the world around them through philanthropy. Like, it's actually quite a privilege to be in these roles with these organizations that are having tremendous life-changing impact, and you get to be part of it, and you steward that, and you honor that relationship. You were one of the first people I got to know when I moved to Calgary. And your relationships in the community and your reputation as a incredibly dedicated leader is everywhere. And so now, as you look ahead and thinking about this big life transition and this pivot, if I can steal a word from COVID, like what's next?
Yeah, it is an interesting time in my life for sure. Actually, thank you for saying that. You were I remember our very first visit. I remember where we were, our first breakfast meeting. And I think about what we were able to achieve together with you at the university and myself at the ACHF, and thinking how far we were able to bring child health research. And that's, we think about philanthropy, taking our two organizations and the power of philanthropy to advance these, initiatives. So I am grateful for that. I will say before I talk about the next transition, though, is the role of philanthropy. When I think about where ACHF has come, what I'm also really proud of, and if I could just add this in, is that we are not just fundraisers. We are catalysts. We are accelerating change. We're creating impact, bigger, better, faster. We are advocates. We are adding our voice to children's health to make outcomes better for kids and families. And we are stewards, as you say. We are keepers of the trust. We have this incredible responsibility to honor what the donors' intentions are, their aspirations to create impact. And also, we are stewards of children and families and the healthcare team that are relying on philanthropy to truly, advance what they can do. What a privilege. What a privilege it is to be part of a sector like this, the social sector. And so I do want to share that. My next chapter. So I'm really excited because I'm going to be joining our family business. We have a real estate land development company that my mom has actually built over the last 35 years. And when we talk about role models and female role models, it's my mom. And so for me now to be part of her world and witness what she has built in the last 35 years, that's where I want to spend my time, to sort of see her world through her eyes. I want to serve more in the community. I'm excited about that. And I'll still be involved with ACHF. You can never leave. It's such a passion. Right. We're going to be building a research center, and that is another really defining moment, I think, for ACHF. And I'm going to be able to support the campaign for that, kind of get back to my roots and help raise money for with the team.
You never go far, right? Like if you've lived your career in the social impact sector, there's no leaving.
No, there isn't. And we have this line at ACHF that it's, Hotel California. You can check in, can't check out. And so I'm grateful that I'll be able to at least be an advisor quietly in the background supporting the organization.
We talk a lot about in this podcast how the workplace was not built for women, but generally how the workplace is not built for working parents. And I can't imagine the compounding factor of also having a sick kid and having to work. So I don't know, do you have any insight into how the families that come to ACHF are managing and how maybe the workplace could be better to support them and all parents?
Yeah, I think that's a reality for sure. And, and I often think about that personally when I came back after mat leave and I used to watch all of the families and the parents and the mums and the dads come in and the toll that it took on them. As a foundation, we did our best and we do our best to provide family supports for sure. Could we be doing better for these families? 100%. It's not easy even when you have a healthy child, yet alone, we'd absolutely need to support that more. I would say in our organization though, because we are primarily female and many, our moms, and we have a long, a retention rate that's, really quite, I'm proud of how long our staff have stayed. So you can imagine many of them have had children along the way and we've watched their children grow up in our organization. But we've created the environment for them to be able to raise their kids and still do really great work at the foundation. So you have to be able to walk the talk. And I feel like my own experience, I was able to support that because I lived it. When I came back from mat leave and became CEO, I had a 1-year-old and I had a 4-year-old. So I was living proof of trying to juggle being a new CEO and that being new and daunting, as I've shared, having a young family as well. So I want, again, with my staff, be able for them to see that I could do it and they would be supported as they, plan their families as well.
What's a leadership lesson that really rings true to your core? Either a lesson or philosophy or just a,
values.
Values, yeah.
I think there's no substitute for hard work. And that's what I also know about myself, that I've always had to work really, really hard. I think that has sort of shaped my work ethic for sure. And I would say that, there is no success. There's no success without hard work. But I would also say that for me, I have this sort of belief that it will happen. And I just don't give up because I believe that if you have a vision and you want to achieve something, you just hold on to that. And I sometimes believe that no matter how hard things can get, that belief, that internal drive, I honestly think has helped me achieve what I've, no matter how hard the initiative is or the challenge, is just having that internal belief. And that's what has kept me going.
Yeah, that dedication. And sometimes those daunting tasks, like when you think about a huge campaign, is overwhelming, but you can't let that consume you, right?
You can't. And you have to remind yourself of where do you want to go? What's your North Star? And what's that objective? And try to hold on to that, because it's easy to get discouraged and distracted and, but I hold on to that. And I would tell that to other people. Hold on to that North Star. Hold on to where you want to go. Be patient, be tenacious, be hardworking, and you will get there.
When you think back on your time as a new CEO and some of the decisions you've made, do you ever look back and you're like, gosh, knowing now what I knew then, what was I thinking?
Totally. Yeah, there was a lot that I think in those first probably 5 years, Yeah, I don't know if thankfully I had an incredible board
Yeah.
and a staff team that we all knew we were building together. So I feel like because we were building the organization again, there was more grace to kind of mess up along the way, but we had people supporting me. I think if I, when I look back, would I have changed the decisions? I don't know, perhaps for sure. But I think I would have just trusted my instincts more. And I do that now. But again, I'm much older. I don't know if I'm wiser, but when you're kind of mid-50s too, like for me, that's a big sort of turning point in my life. And I look back and I wish I maybe trusted my instincts more, believed in myself more. But yeah, I'm good now. And that's another leadership lesson, is to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, Saifa. So with your 30-year history in your current role and leading a team full of women, what is your hope for the future? What are you hopeful for?
I'm hopeful that we will be a society that is made up of the healthiest and happiest children who grow up to be contributing members of society. And I do hope that what we're building for children's health is what's going to completely transform outcomes for these kids, where they can lead happy and healthy lives. And I want the team that's at Alberta Children's Hospital Foundation, but even within the researchers and the healthcare team, to feel that sense of pride and accomplishment that we, together with philanthropy, transformed child health. Not only here, not only in Canada, but globally. And we're ready for that. And that's what also excites me, is that Calgary is a place that can make things happen, and all of us coming together to create impact. That is what still excites me, and that's what I look forward to.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, we are all aligned on that hope for the future. And thank you for joining us on another episode of The Quiet Part Out Loud. The Quiet Part Out Loud is produced by Access Connects and brought to you by... Oh, wait, is there a sponsorship opportunity there? Learn more at accessconnects.com.